welcome. You're watching the NewsHour Agenda. I am Padmaja Joshi. Today, the Karnataka High Court decided to refer the issue of the hijab in educational institutions to a larger bench. The protest, however, refused to be stemmed. Far from it. In fact, the protests gained ground from Karnataka to West Bengal to even Shaheen Bagh in Delhi. The cries there were familiar. It's about equality. It's about right to practice religion, and it's about access to education by all the girls, irrespective of their denomination. But even as we were told that the argument is about access to education, frightfully, there were posters that emerged in places like Mumbai, which said that hijab is before and above kitab, which means that hijab should be given precedence over education. Education is secondary. Is this the choice that women, young girls need in the 21st century India? Or is the talk of rights a ruse that fundamentalist forces are using to collectively push women back into the 18th century? And is politics only hastening that descent?
एक महिला का अधिकार है, वो बिकिनी पहनना चाहे, वो हिजाब पहनना चाहे, वो घूंघट लगाना चाहे, वह साड़ी पहनना चाहे, वह जीन्स पहनना चाहे. इसमें कोई राजनीति की बात नहीं और ना होनी चाहिए.
स्कूल में बिकिनी कहां से आ गई प्रियंका?
आप
वो शैक्षिक संस्थान की बात है. देखिए आप
गोलमोल करके कुछ भी कह सकते हैं. किसी का अधिकार नहीं है कि वो एक महिला को कहे कि तुम ये पहनो. आपको मैं कह रही हूँ वो स्कार्फ उतारो अपना. आप कहाँ भी जहाँ भी हो, मुझे क्या अधिकार है आपको ये कहने का? नहीं है. सिंपल.
ये जो लड़ाई है ना, इसको हिजाब से या मुसलमान से मत जोड़िए. ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट के अपने प्रोटेक्शन की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं लड़कियां. और ये नोटिफिकेशन जो इशू हुआ पहले तो नहीं था. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का पुट्टुस्वामी का जजमेंट ये कहता है कि कौन क्या खाता है, क्या पहनता है, वो उनका चॉइस है. उसमें आपको क्या आपत्ति है?
मुझे कोई आपत्ति
नहीं, मैं आपसे नहीं, मुझसे कह रहा हूँ भाई. अगर वो उन्होंने अब शुरू किया, नहीं पहले से पहन रही हैं, पढ़ रही हैं.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, we have Malvika Avinash of the BJP, Ameena Sherwani, activist, Syeda Falak, member of the AIMIM, Kapil Madan, lawyer and supporter of the Indian National Congress. Syeda Falak, I want to start by asking you, all this while we were told it was about access to education more than anything else. And yet today, we have posters being put up in Mumbai where the girls are protesting when it's written, Pehle hijab, phir kitab. Is this the ideal that anyone at all should be aspiring to?
Let me make a straight point. We may all discuss about this n number of times. We may all debate about this n number of times. But this fact is not going to change that hijab is an essential part of our religion.
Ma'am, I am asking you, that is not for us to judge. That is now going to be judged by the court. My simple point to you is that the politics that your party is doing right now, to say that
my
hijab
party,
is given precedence over kitab. Kitab is above all.
Where is involved in this? Where AIMIM is involved in this?
Ma'am, AIMIM is a councillor of the AIMIM has put up these posters to say pehle hijab, phir kitab.
See, first of all, we don't have proper evidence that who has put these posters. And I want to tell you that hijab is an essential and integral part of our religion. It is above, our religion is very important to us. It is above everything. And
that is again, like I said, not for you and I to decide. My simple point to you is, first, do you want to unequivocally say that in school, sabse pehle khitab, everything else, hijab, skirt, ghungat, dupatta, chunni, everything else comes after that.
किताब और हिजाब का कोई कंपैरिजन ही नहीं है भाई. इन चीजों को कंपेयर क्यों कर रहे हो आप? Why are we comparing hijab and kitab?
Because, ma'am, that is what is being brought into the conversation now. There are little girls, and we can play out their testimonies, who are basically saying,
brought this into
for
the
us,
conversation.
Sir?
The BJP government is provoking us. Why the BJP government have problem with hijab?
Ma'am, this is not about the BJP or anything else.
And why it is BJP government.
I am asking you a simple question.
Why are they
as a woman,
hijab
I am asking you a simple question.
They are two different things.
I am asking you two different things. I am asking you a simple question. As a woman and as a politician who said that this is a fight for education rights, would you say that education and kitab is above everything else? Everything else is secondary.
Okay. Hijab is also important. Hijab, and again I'm telling, hijab is very important to us. It is above everything, and the kitab and hijab has no comparison. That's my point.
You still haven't answered my question. Now let me give you the name of the man. Luqman Farooqi is from the AIMIM students wing in Beed, and he is the person who's put it up. Luqman Farooqi, AIMIM member from Beed. Would you be willing to commit and say, सबसे पहले किताब, उसके बाद कुछ भी और? Hijab, कुछ भी.
Hijab and kitab has no comparison. Hijab is an integral and important part of the religion.
It is a comparison now. Because there are children who are being made to choose.
We are not going to compromise with our hijab, with our religion for education. We are not going to compromise our religion. We are not going to compromise on our religion. It is very important to us, and kitab and hijab has no comparison. That's it.
Do you not realize, Ameena Sherwani, I want to get you in on this first. Is this not very apparent that the students are literally being made to choose? The school administration is saying, please go ahead, come into classes, but there is now this situation where students are being made to choose. Either you take education or you stay outside and stick to your religious beliefs.
Now, when I speak to Muslims like Syeda, I tell them go back to the Quran. The Quran does not begin with hijab. It does not begin with niqab. It begins with Iqra, which means to read. Therefore, reading is the most important thing that Quran tells us to do. Therefore, every Muslim is duty bound to educate himself or herself above all else, no matter what the conditions. We have to educate ourselves because that's what the Quran tells us to do. That's also what our Constitution tells us to do. Both the important books of our lives are telling us to educate ourselves. Therefore, education is topmost. Hijab, in fact, is prohibited in the Quran. No woman can be hidden away. No woman can be covered away. Women are supposed to be brave, brilliant, beautiful, forward-going, fearless. So what do they need to wear hijabs for? Let all the rest of the world wear a hijab when we women come out in fear. Let them hide themselves.
But
we have
you
no
cannot
reason
force
to hide
anyone
ourselves.
to not wear it, or you cannot force anyone to wear it. You cannot do that. You cannot force
the
anyone
hijab is
to wear
not
it.
mentioned in the Quran as a clothing. The hijab is mentioned as a wall. Now, is this cloth a wall? Please know the meaning of hijab.
You are coming in every debate and you're telling the same thing. You're talking all nonsense. See, you're telling all rubbish things about Islam.
Because of the hijab
A case will be put against you.
About दीवार को कैसे पहनेंगी?
I'm saying clearly, Miss Ameena, you're telling all rubbish things about Islam. Verses 31, verses 30, Surah 4, verses 53,
खेलना बंद करें. आपने आपकी बहुत अच्छी फोटोज हैं बिना हिजाब के. आप खूब मस्ती से अपना यूनिफॉर्म पहन के आप कराटे चैंपियन बनी. अब इन बच्चियों को इनका यूनिफॉर्म पहनकर स्कूल जाने दीजिए.
मुझे बोलने दीजिए. कराटे यूनिफॉर्म जो है ना वो फुल ड्रेस है और कराटे
कर रहे हैं. आपको अल्लाह माफ नहीं करेगा, संविधान माफ नहीं करेगा और देश की लड़कियां भी माफ नहीं करेंगी.
टू कम्पीट इन द चैंपियनशिप्स
और ये लड़कियां भी आपको माफ नहीं करेंगी.
Because we're speaking over each other. We're speaking over each other. Nobody can understand anything. Finish your point, Ameena Sherwani, and then Syeda Falak, you can respond to that. You're saying that a lot of people who are advocating for hijab have very different personal beliefs. Is then this more a political stance than anything else?
This is a political game being played. It is going to destroy the lives of these girls. As I said, Falak madam herself wore her karate uniform. She did not wear her hijab. She became a karate champion wearing the uniform. And now she wants to deprive these girls of an education by telling them, don't wear your uniform. Why did Falak wear her uniform? Why did she become a successful sportswoman following all the rules of the sports academies? Why did she not wear the hijab? Tell me, आपने अपना करियर तो बना लिया, इन बच्चियों को आप बर्बाद कर रही हैं। अल्लाह से डरिए, अपने संविधान से डरिए, देश के कानून से डरिए, कचहरियों से डरिए।
Yes, I want to respond.
Beg your pardon?
Listen, Suniji, listen.
Why should you respond? You did not wear a hijab. You wore your uniform. You became successful.
Let me speak.
Let the girls wear their uniform. Let them become successful.
Okay, let her respond.
Let me respond.
Yes,
let me respond. See, from many years I've not practiced hijab. Now Allah has given me hidayah, and I have started wearing hijab, and I am going to continue my karate career with wearing a hijab, and I have been to many international championships, world championships, Asian championships, and many girls from Muslim countries participate in those championships wearing a hijab, and I am going to do the same thing now. It will not be an obstacle for me.
Also wear gloves and socks, and don't let your ankles show.
Karate
don't
dress,
let any part of your body touch anybody else. That is what you all claim. That is what the Quran says. Don't go near a male coach.
I'm not into badminton.
Don't travel with men. I don't know what you are talking about.
Which has a full dress.
The Islam does not put hijab on women.
That's what I'm into.
Ma'am, right now you're not in school. Syeda Falak, I think there's a very important point that has been made here. Right now you're not in school. You can wear whatever you want. Good for you. It's your choice. Exercise your power. But when you were in uniform, and you haven't answered that question, when you were in school, when you were required to be in uniform, you adhered to that uniform code. You took advantage of what this country has to offer, and with full right. With full right. It's your right. Don't deny that agency to these young girls when they're growing up here.
I want to wear a hijab. Now if I send my younger sisters to schools, and if they want to wear hijab, they will wear it. They will wear it.
Ma'am, if the uniform doesn't allow them, they can't wear it. So they will have to make a choice. Which is what these poor girls in Karnataka are being made to do. Let's make two things very clear first of all. There are two things which are now being spread, and very maliciously, may I add. One, that there is a ban on hijab. Let me say this in the clearest terms possible. In the secular Republic of India, there is no ban on hijab. But if rules are made, then rules have to be followed, and that applies to every institution. Second, is that it is about education, and as everyone has said, the educational institute decides what their rules are going to be. Nobody should have to choose between the two. This is not about anyone being denied education. It is people being told, please make use of the education, come and study, but please follow the rules that you agreed to. Nobody is being denied education. They are just being requested, please follow the rules. And as we have seen, you followed the rules, madam, when you were required to. Now, why are you telling other girls to militate against it?
And that's my now I even go to college. I'm pursuing law, and I go in hijab.
Ma'am, you go to any college which allows you to wear a hijab. If you are going to a college which says in its uniform code that hijab is not allowed,
but it cannot do that.
You cannot wear.
Constitution should be applied everywhere.
Ma'am, the Constitution allows you to practice your religion, but we have argued this again and again and again. Like I said, whether it is a part of practice of religion, it's not for me to decide, and it's not for you to decide. Now a larger bench. Madam, if a single judge bench of Karnataka High Court could not decide, I think you and I are ill-equipped to decide whether hijab is a part of practicing religion. But we come to the larger issue now, Kapil Madan, of how women are either being pushed forward towards the next decade, or we are going to be pushed backward by 50 years to what someone today called, and in fact it was argued in court, the next Shah Bano movement, the next Shah Bano moment in India, where women will again be ghettoized and pushed back for political expediency. Is that what the Congress stands for?
So Padmaja ji, allow me to make a very quick point here. And I mentioned, in fact, you mentioned in the beginning of the show, you showed some posters that said, "Pehle hijab, fir kitab." Now, I want to respond to them what is happening in Karnataka. Now, you very rightly and very responsibly said whether it is an integral part or whether it is an essential part of Islam, it is for the larger bench of the Karnataka High Court to decide. And having said that, what in the context of what is happening in Karnataka, it sounds as if first remove hijab and then kitab. And I would agree with you here that kitab should be, education should be the foremost, the most important thing in anyone's life, because that's the only thing that can take the nation forward. And what is happening in Karnataka is sadly, it sounds as if, you know, the government by way of this route.
Padmaja,
I'll give you, for the sake of argument,
I'll give you time to respond. Let him finish. Let him
I know
finish.
there's a lot of falsehood being peddled.
Yes,
So.
you will respond to it, but let him finish. Yes.
So let us assume for a minute. I am not an Islamic scholar, neither I have any degree. And as you also rightly said, that neither you can decide nor that I can decide whether it is an essential part or whether it is not. For the sake of argument, let us assume for a minute that it is an essential part, because you or no one can deny, even if it is not an essential part, it is a part of religious practice that is being followed.
Okay.
No one can deny.
It may be followed. It may be followed for years together. Child marriage was followed as a part of culture. Does that make it okay? Child marriage was followed. Johar was followed for centuries altogether as a part of culture. Does that make it okay? In principle, let me ask you, because today, just a second.
What is the situation?
No. Rights cannot be subjective to situation. What is right and what is progressive is universal. You cannot say that this is progressive in this country, but in another country it is regressive. No, it has to be uniform. So when you say, sir, when Priyanka Gandhi today said, whether it's bikini, ghungat, pair of jeans or hijab, it's a woman's right to decide what she wants to wear. Do you really think that all of them are the same? That a bikini and the hijab are the same? That a jeans and a hijab are the same? That a ghungat and a bikini is the same?
I think you're missing the point. I think you're clearly missing the point. What is the point which Priyanka ji has said? She said it is the woman's choice. If she wants to wear a hijab, it is her choice. If she does not want to wear a hijab, it is also her choice.
Okay, so let me can't decide. You are all for choice. So let me ask you a blunt question. Today a woman says, let's imagine that we are in a century ago and a woman says, my husband has died, my religion says I will sit on his funeral pyre and die. Will you say it is her choice? Go ahead, do it.
Of course I'll not.
Why? It is her choice?
I will not.
Why?
I will not.
Why? It is her choice.
Padmaja ji, if someone is taking his life, maybe under a belief which may not be correct, and under a mistaken belief as a part of, because what has happened.
How do you know a belief is mistaken? Somebody who chooses hijab is doing it as choice, but a woman who's jumping on a funeral pyre is mistaken. Why?
Padmaja ji, what are we trying to argue here?
Parda takes away women's rights just as sati takes away their lives.
Let me allow me to complete. Let me make my point.
Parda is almost as deadly as sati.
So again, I said,
Ameena ji, please, there are many successful women.
Madam, in the very beginning, I clearly made a mention. It is for the larger court to decide whether it is a part.
No. That the court will decide. I want to get in Malvika Avinash, but before we move on, okay. So you say sati is self-harm. You do not support self-harm. Let's say a 12-year-old erudite girl today says, my belief is I want to get married. Will you support it as choice?
No, I will not.
Why?
Because I know this is not for her good.
How do you know? Arey, very patronizing of you. How can you patronize a young girl and say it is not for her good? How can men patronize a girl and tell a 12-year-old girl that she can't marry?
So let me clarify my point, Padmaja ji.
Well, a 12-year-old girl can decide to do hijab. Why can't a 12-year-old girl get married?
A 12-year-old girl.
How can you compare hijab and marriage? Padmaja ji, how can you compare hijab and marriage?
It's a choice. It's a choice, madam. If we are going down the road of ridiculous, then let's go down the whole hog of ridiculous. Let's be ridiculous.
Come on. 12 years is very young age. Her parents will decide.
Why? But a 12-year-old, according to you, on her own can decide whether she wants to do hijab. Why can't she decide to get married, ma'am? Why?
18 years of age.
It's choice.
We become adults, then we can decide. Then it will be a choice.
Why?
Before,
can you not do?
Can you?
Do you wait till 18 to do hijab?
Padmaja, may I come in on this now?
I'll decide on my own, or my parents will guide me.
Did you wait till 18?
On my own.
Do girls wait till 18 to do hijab? Or is
No,
the
they don't wait. They don't wait.
Girls are being put in hijab.
It's their choice, or either the parents decide.
So when the girl is doing hijab, it's her choice. But when a girl is doing marriage, it's not her choice. I think it has become amply clear that this whole idea of choice, ma'am,
getting married.
This whole idea of choice and how it is indoctrination. Let's face it, for years and years altogether, we were told that child marriage was choice. There was a reason it was done away with, in principle. Anyhow, Malvika Avinash, respond to what Kapil Madan said.
See, there are a couple of things that I'd like to say. First and foremost, I think their hypocrisy is caught today. The hypocrisy of the Congress party, as well as all those who are speaking so vociferously in favor of hijab, while they themselves did not follow it a while ago. And that's true of Karnataka also. Since Kapil Madan has specifically said Karnataka, let me explain the situation in Karnataka to him. You see, in Karnataka, there is no blanket ban on hijab in colleges or in pre-university. Each college decides what the uniform should be for that college based on what the school development and management committee evolves. That is the first point. Therefore, the Udupi college, where these girls, from where these girls are the petitioners in the case as well, did not wear scarves till last month. From July to December, they were not wearing scarves or hijab or however they could wish to describe it. It is only in January, suddenly they woke up and felt religious and did so. That is the first part of the story. Now coming to this whole idea of choice and whether hijab is integral to Islam, my question is, kindly decide whether it is integral to Islam. Then it becomes your fundamental right of pursuing or professing of following your religion. Then that's a different matter. The court will defend. The court will opine on it as well and decide accordingly. If it's not integral to Islam, which is quite evident now from all these arguments across board, I've been on TV since morning and all of yesterday, there is absolutely no consensus on whether it's integral to Islam or not. That being the case, it becomes a matter of choice. If it is a matter of choice, why should a preferential right be given to a Muslim girl and not a Hindu boy or girl? If we are to allow hijab, which is a choice and not integral to Islam, then a saffron shawl also should be allowed. Therefore, sir, I did not interrupt when you spoke. Sir, listen, have the patience to listen. Because your lie is caught, because your falsehood is caught, you want to come in between. Please have the patience to listen. Therefore, if it is a matter of choice, then the same choice should be given to everybody. Then why do you have a uniform? We can't say saffron shawl is not allowed. However, hijab is allowed.
Kapil
so
Madan,
the college will decide what is to be done.
Actually,
and
because we're talking about choice, we are talking about choice. Syeda Falak, you respond to this. Syeda Falak, you respond to this.
Yes. See, we have enough.
Just a second, Mr. Madan. Yes. Syeda Falak.
We have enough evidence that hijab is an essential part, and that will be proved in court. Okay. From many years, we have seen hijab wearing girls.
No. Sorry. Padmaja,
from many years, we have seen hijab wearing girls go to schools and colleges. It is not something new in India.
I will not let you get away with this falsehood anymore.
That BJP government is targeting Muslims, especially Muslims.
Stop spreading lies.
Syeda Falak, like I said at the outset, we are not here, and frankly, we cannot sit here and judge the legality of your argument about the essential to religion. So we are discussing here the morality and whether it is ethical to put women in a veil. It's as simple as that. Are we looking, since you keep saying it is about progress, is it progress to veil women, one, and second, to make it a choice?
Mindset of the Congress party as well as the AIMM. It is that Shahbanu they want to take these women 30, 40 years back. We fought for 30, 40 years to get rid of that Shah Banu legislation.
Okay, answer that. That's what I was coming to. That is what I was coming to. It's the Shah Banu mindset.
30 to 40 years. It is that Shah Banu mindset.
30 years ago, you did not stand for the choice of an aged woman who only wanted 179 rupees maintenance, sir. 179 rupees maintenance.
How dare you?
She was pushed back into a ghettoized life.
It is the
Why?
Congress mindset.
Answer that.
Madam, what was your
and
stand?
Today we talk about choice and emancipation.
I would just ask the spokesperson of the BJP, what was your stand on Sabarimala? Why were you opposing Sabarimala? Can you please explain that?
Don't draw an analogy here. Don't draw a wrong analogy here.
I am saying that if you take that Sabarimala test, your argument will fail. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it because you are
women behind the veil. I do talk about emancipation. It is your Shah Banu mindset. Don't you dare speak of women not being a woman.
No, wait. So we've made it clear. The court came in, and despite the fact, let me also remind you that in the Sabarimala case also, essential to religion argument was made. The court set it aside and eventually decided that women would get entry. And the judgment was passed, sir. So you have the law above everything else. In the case of the school, the uniform and the rule is above everything else. You cannot have people saying, and the entire country, barring a few, said, all right, the court has adjudicated, women will go in. How can you have a reverse mindset in this case?
Can I respond, Padmaja ji, now?
Yes, go on.
Now see what is happening, see the situation, and let us see the situation dispassionately. Whether rightly or wrongly, few students were insisting that they should be allowed to wear hijab inside the college. The situation in the college is that the rule, whatever the rule is, whether right, wrong, the court will decide.
What do you mean right or wrong? What do you mean right or wrong? It's the choice of the college to decide.
The court will decide. I said the court will decide.
It's the choice of the college to decide.
So,
it is also the
if you don't wish to go to that college, do not go.
Madam,
it's not as if hijab is banned across the state. Don't peddle lies to India.
I don't know why is she getting agitated. The matter is before the court.
Yes,
the rule
because
is
you're peddling lies.
Madam, it is under challenge before the court. The
No,
court will
one issue is not under challenge of the court, which is that the college committee gets to decide what the uniform is, and while in college you get to adhere and you have to adhere to the rules of the uniform. Now, could this have been done in a more coherent fashion? Did the colleges leave a grey area and leave a lot of things unsaid, because of which now this controversy has arisen, and will that clarity now be brought in? We will ensure that we seek answers on that, but I will give the final word to you, Ameena Sherwani. In this day, when you look at pictures where girls are playing football wearing a hijab, where they say, pehle hijab, phir kitab, what do you see in the next 10 years for our country?
I'm just horrified that for 4 or 5 generations, women of my family have fought against these malpractices. We have been trying to take our community forward, and we have succeeded in small measure and large measure in different ways. And I never thought that when I am nearing 60, I will be sitting and hearing young 18-year-old girls say that, oh, parda is wonderful, we want to go back into parda. Parda is our pehchan. Young ladies, the only pehchan we have is our DNA. If you need a kidney transplant, no one is going to take a sample of your hijab and match your hijab with your kidney. You're going to get a kidney from a person whose DNA matches your DNA as closely possible. So Allah Mia and Mother Nature both combined have given us one identity, our dioxyribonucleic acid, with its adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and sugar and base. This is what we are composed of. That is our pehchan. Each one of us has an individual DNA. So we are not like a bheed. So we already have a pehchan. That pehchan is our DNA. That DNA reflects in our face. The way our face looks is what our DNA is inside us. So there is no need to hide our face. Our hair also is because of our DNA. There's no need to hide our hair. We have to dress as per the weather. We have to dress with dignity. We have to dress with convenience. We have to dress in the geographical region that we are, along with taking care of the sensibilities of all the people around us, and along with what our body is like, whether it's weak or strong, how well we should cover ourselves, what warm clothes we should wear. These are all decisions based on our geography, on our health, on the place where we come from, and personal choice.
Yeah.
Now, hijab is not, it's mentioned as a wall in the Quran. It's not a garment. I don't know how the girls are saying they're wearing a hijab. You cannot wear a hijab. What you're wearing on your head is not a hijab. The Quran does not mandate it. The Quran tells you to move forward. Your constitution tells you to move forward. You should be protesting and fighting. Instead, you are regressing. My beautiful, these girls are as old as my granddaughters, not even my daughters. I am horrified at the regression. And simply, kyun zid? This is a word called hut. Baal hut hota hai na? Bas. Koi kuएं में कूद रहा है तो हम भी कुएं में कूदेंगे. Somebody else is destroying themselves, so we will also destroy ourselves. And I want the Hindu children and the Muslim children, boys and girls, please don't let us idiotic adults get you into this horrible situation.
And because the politicians will move on to the next story, to the next campaign, these are fissures which will remain for life. The focus is education, hijab, saffron shawls, saffron flags. A classroom is not the place for this. Let's hope, even before the court judgment comes, better sense will prevail. Please go back to class. Kitab before hijab and everything else. Thanks very much, all ladies and Kapil Madan, for having joined me.